Hello Year 11, I'm going to talk to you in this video about Poppies by Weir and share a few quotations that you might want to learn for your literature exam. Okay, Poppies by Weir is quite a modern poem. In the poem there's a first person narrator who is a mother and she's describing her son leaving home. It's left unstated, but we assume that her son is leaving home to join the army and he's leaving 3 days before Armistice Day. So there's a lot of the paraphernalia of Remembrance Day around, the poppies, the war graves, and that's very much seems to be playing on her mind because there's a sense throughout the poem that she's quite sad and quite concerned about what's going to happen to her son. So it starts with her pinning a poppy onto her son's blazer, saying goodbye to him, and at that point she's keeping her emotions very contained. Once her son has left, she describes how she released a songbird from its cage, which is a metaphor that suggests she was able to let her emotions out. We assume that perhaps she kept them in because she didn't want to upset her son, she didn't want him to see how concerned she was about what was going to happen to him. If I was going to learn some quotations from the poem, I would pick out some of the references to her son as a child. So she writes about how she would like to graze her nose against his nose and play at being Eskimos. So this is obviously a reference back to when he was a child. He's too grown up for that now. He's described as having spiky hair, blackthorn spikes that she feels she can't run her fingers through anymore. But there's a feeling that she's kind of sad that she's lost that little boy that he used to be, and that her sadness is A, about him leaving perhaps to go to war, but also just that he's grown up and that perhaps he doesn't need her anymore. The poem shifts a lot through time, so she talks about the present, but she keeps referring back to the past and her son as a child. At the end of the poem, she describes your playground voice catching on the wind. So it's almost as though she can hear echoes of her son in his childhood, the playground voice symbolising childhood. The word catching could be that it's catching and being blown away from her, but perhaps also there's a feeling that this is a bit of pathetic fallacy and that catching is a sort of emotional jolt for her or some of her own upset or trauma. When she opens the front door to say goodbye to her son, she describes the world overflowing like a treasure chest. So this simile implies that there's a world of opportunity out there for her son, which he's obviously very excited about, and she doesn't want to spoil that excitement by letting him know how upset she is. However, another interpretation could be that of all the choices he could have made in the world, this treasure chest of things, he's chosen to go into the army, which could be quite dangerous and could obviously potentially lead to serious injury or death. So it's a little bit bittersweet, that simile. Finally, she describes walking up onto a hill and tracing the names of the inscriptions on a war memorial. Again, this is quite a poignant image. Is she wondering whether her son's own name will be added to that list? She describes it as a place that they've spent time together. So it's almost as if she's looking for memories, or she's somehow looking for her son, even though obviously she knows that he has left.